alternated between wishing madly that Delight had never extracted that promise from them, and being thankful that they were not permitted to tell what they knew. But what she chiefly dreaded was being put in a position of having to answer complicating questions that could not be evaded. As, however, there was not the slightest use in borrowing trouble, she wisely decided to see how things turned out, and not to worry beforehand. The conversation during the ride was on general subjects, and when at last they reached the pool, Bernice inwardly thanked fortune that they had not once touched on the ticklish topic. Sydney halted at the spot where he usually parked his car, got out his fishing rod, and announced that he and Bernice would stay on that side of the pool and try their luck, while Mr. Tredwell went round to the other side to find Jerry. He pointed out the old house in the orange grove, saying he understood that must be where Jerry lived. They watched Mr. Tredwell make his way around the edge of the pool, after having satisfied themselves that Ike was nowhere in the vicinity, and they watched him approach the tumble-down veranda, reconnoitre about him a bit, and finally ascend to knock on the still half-open door. "I feel as if I were standing over a mine that was about to explode," Bernice confided to her cousin. "It makes me feel rather mean," added Sydney, "to think that I know all the while what he's going to strike, and yet what in the world can I do? We're just bound hand and foot by that promise Delight extracted from us. Sometimes I think it isn't right, as if it might be better for her in the end if we did not keep it. I don't know. It's a puzzle." They could see Mr. Tredwell standing patiently by the door, waiting for an answer to his knock. Then they saw him knock again, and, after an interval, a third time. At last they saw him push the door open, look about, and walk in. And after that nothing happened for a very long time, and they almost held their breath for the coming explosion, as Bernice insisted on calling it. Much later they saw him emerge from the house and hurry around the pool in their direction, and they knew the struggle was on. "It's singular, very singular," panted Mr. Tredwell, when he at last came around to where they were standing. "What's singular?" demanded Sydney, as nonchalantly as though he were not perfectly well aware of the facts all the time. "That house. It's absolutely empty. Are you sure this is the right place?" "I think I can be quite sure of it," replied Sydney cautiously. "It's the only farmhouse around here for miles, and one day not so long ago I was out fishing at this pool and happened to notice that the house seemed occupied. Are you sure that it is empty, or are they perhaps just temporarily away from home?" "It's uninhabited, no doubt of it. Some furniture is still there, but not the slightest sign of anyone really living in the place." "Very queer that he should move away so suddenly," commented Sydney, more for the sake of saying something than for any better reason. "No, it isn't strange," exploded Mr. Tredwell at last, in thorough exasperation. "It's only about what I expected, as a matter of fact. Jerry has eluded me before, and I quite suspected he'd try it again. Only I thought that this time I'd been too quick for him. Didn't think he'd imagine it necessary to slip away so soon, as he was so well hidden here. He's a slick article, the slickest thing I've ever come across. He has given me the slip every time." Sydney said nothing, except to murmur his regrets at Mr. Tredwell's disappointment. Later he ventured to ask if that gentleman intended to try to trace the fleeing guide. But Mr. Tredwell, deep in thought, paid no attention to his query. Instead, he suddenly confronted Sydney and looked straight into his eyes. "Tell me," he commanded, in a tone that was not to be gainsaid, "did you ever happen, while fishing here, to have noticed a young girl about this young lady's age," pointing to Bernice, "anywhere about that house, or around this pool?" And so at last was Sydney brought to bay. End of chapter 11.